Hello, my name's Casey, and thank you for checking out my channel, Casey's Country. So a couple months back, my wife wanted me to make some raised garden beds for her, which we did. And after a couple weeks of watering everything by hand with a hose and unwinding it 100 feet and winding it back up every time, I decided to put in some drip irrigation for her. So I wanted to go over what we did, how we did it, and give you a rundown of all the parts and how it works. So I hope you enjoy. So let me start here first with the parts you're going to need. You're going to need something to cut the pipe. So we've got the plumber's PVC cutters that work good by Husky. There's the 1/2-inch irrigation tubing. Here is the 1/4-inch drip line tubing. And we also use 1/4-inch tubing for the sprinkler heads that we put in, which are here. This here is the pressure regulator as well as the filter. These are the union tees that are used to connect and tee off for the 1/2-inch pipe. This is the hole punch that we use to punch a hole through the 1/2-inch pipe to then add the drip lines with the connector. We also can use the T for the drip lines, or this line that helps tee off to the sprinklers. And then we have a plug for the end of the drip lines for wherever you finish running them. And then finally, the stake goes over the 1/4-inch lines to hold them into place wherever you want them. So to review, we have the pipe cutter, the pressure regulator and filter, the hole punch, 1/2-inch irrigation pipe, the compression tees, which to me are the best because if you just slide them on, they leak. However, these compression tees that close over the pipe, once you put it on here, work best. You've got the 90s to 90 up and around the beds. I've also got some shut-off valves. I'll show you what those are all about when I go through my garden bed. I've got plugs for the ends of the 1/2-inch tubing, which I'll show you. I've got the drip line. I've got the what I call the sprinkler heads. I've got the solid lines to go to the sprinkler heads. I've got that to come out of the hole punched hole and connect to the drip line and the 1/4-inch line. I've got the T's. I got the plug for the 1/4-inch line for whenever you terminate. And I've got the stake to keep these in place where you want them next to your vegetables. So let's go over and start at the beginning with the timer we got. I've got the timer here. Very, very self-explanatory to set. You can set auto and set the time you want it to come on every day. The clock is set already to 12:19. The start time, I have 8 a.m. every day. How long? For 45 minutes. How often? Every 1 day. Or you can turn it off. So if we're getting a lot of rain, I turn it off so that we don't have to waste water. So if I go on to auto, I click manual. It tells me it's going to run for 10 minutes. So I just let it cycle and it will turn on. You'll hear it. So it's kicked on. Now let me give you a rundown of the garden. So I put the 1/2-inch pipe all the way down around the railroad ties throughout the entire garden. As you can see, at every tee, I put a compression fitting. Then I hit it with a 1/2-inch clamp. I'm using 90s all the way. I bury it. I go over to the bed. This is where the valve was I was discussing. If you just turn the valve on, it'll allow the water to turn on to the bed. And so right now this bed doesn't have anything planted, so I leave it off. So I shut it off to conserve water. And you see the 90s. I run the 1/2-inch pipe down each side of each bed. And then the 1/4-inch tubing off of those. So as you can see, again, compression fitting, a couple 90s, the valve, a couple 90s, and then as you can see here, this is where I use a hole punch to punch through. You just jab it in, it punches a hole in, you put the little connector, and then you put the tubing on top of that, or over that, and go all the way down to the end. And at the ends, you can see it where it terminates. I've got the plug. You can see a couple stakes in here. As I continue down, another compression fitting T there, comes over, there's the valve. The 1/2-inch pipe goes down the edge, and at each edge, there's one part I didn't have any extra to show you, but this little piece here goes over the pipe when you crimp it to keep the water from traveling, but I also put a plug in here as well to keep any water loss from happening there. I want it all going to the beds because the beds are so long. It's got a long way to go. I also ran a line from the corner all the way down the back side because we have plans to put some citrus trees on the other side of the fence. So we ran a 1/4-inch line from that 1/2-inch pipe over to each citrus plant we'll be planting. That's the first one so far. It's an orange tree. We continue down, we have the same thing, just repeated over and over. Using 90s, the 1/2-inch pipe, 1/4-inch strip line. It's the same setup on every bed. You can see on this one, all we've got is Florida weeds here. But once again, if I turn that valve on, it turns all the sprinkler heads on. And I turn it off because we're not using that bed right now. The only thing I'm missing here that I did not have to show you were this little piece here that helps you hold the crimp in the line, and those 1/2-inch clamps that go over the 1/2-inch pipe. Pretty simple, pretty fun to do. Hope you enjoyed it. God bless.